What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the DellaPenna Show. This is my second episode. And in this second episode, I'm going to lay out some of the infrastructure and ideas about the way that I'm going to do this podcast show. So, the premise of the show is really, it's just a personal, self-titled podcast show. It's a way that I get to enter into the podcasting world from being involved in social media marketing and content creation for so long in business. So I'm looking forward to it. It's giving me a lot more energy just as a content creator and alleviating a lot of the typical editing and what would have you with the other kind of forms of content that I'm usually more familiar with, working with brands and other small businesses. So to begin this episode for my listeners, here's the layout. The premise of the show is life, business, and everything in between. So that's exactly how I'm going to do these next 3 episodes. So this is episode 2, and the topic is life. So I'm going to go through some information about me, myself, and I, and who, what, where, when, why, and all that kind of fun stuff. Just like I did in the last show. These are my show notes. I'm just going to get rid of those. Get a little more comfortable. So, hi. Thank you for listening. Thank you for checking out my podcast. And my name is Mark Anthony DellaPenna Jr. I'm the founder and CEO of Digital Business Traffic, the inventor of Boston's digital arena, and content creator, social media marketer in the e-commerce, digital marketing, internet world. I've been studying and learning business since 2016, 2017, and my occupation is a business owner, or on paper as a business owner, as a small solopreneur. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm an inventor, and I've been an American Red Cross volunteer since 2019. And that's pretty much the who and what. Salem, Massachusetts. I don't like to disclose where I live, but it is in the Boston area. And the timeline for everything that I've done online in my business and life in the last few years has definitely changed. Not only my physical life, but just my perspective for the future and how I see where my own life is going. And I'm really excited about it. Premise of the show will ultimately translate into value, and I'm just kind of getting used to it myself and uploading everything and getting used to the editing process. And a lot of what I do is teaching creatives and content creators and entrepreneurs how to use social media or build a brand for themselves online. So I'm pretty transparent and open with everything that I do submit, and it's definitely changed my life internally, I guess, just using social media a lot and diving into the industry and the psychology and the desire to want to build a brand on it for long-term success, and what that actually entails versus what I thought it would look like at the beginning. And it's definitely occupied my pursuit of happiness, and my dream has occupied a giant portion of my life. So even in the category of my life and trying to keep it relevant to me for my listeners' sake, it's very well connected. And it's progressive as well. Like you kind of step back from your own dreams and desires, and you learn about like the icky spots or the downfalls or the pitfalls. And yeah, I'm pretty transparent about it, and I do hope to have a successful career online. It does collide ideologies and things that I actually used to have like personal belief systems about, and a lot of it is just from the magnification factor in dealing with the reality that the digital world is not ultimately the same as reality, it's virtual reality. So if you do want, business for yourself, you want to have some sort of avenue for monetization and avenues to use your voice to build a community for something positive, or even out, in a unvirtual setting for the community at large. That's my target audience, people like me, like-minded people. But you go through it, and I focused a lot of my time and effort on learning content and how to put it into place, into systems, and the content creative elements of what attracts specific people to buy. The algorithms, and bounced around the platforms a lot and just got very familiarized with some of them more than most of them, I would say. Exerted a lot of energy, or I've been doing this for so long in my 20s. Even before that, I was promoting social media content for like a video game community that I had. And I'll get into that in the episode of business, because I think it's pretty cool, and it's definitely going to give my audience a different perspective, I think, that they can take away from themselves that they may or may not have seen or thought about in that way. And I think that's where I'm going to come in as a really great navigator of my audience through some of the trials and tribulations that it really takes to build an authentic brand for yourself that you can be proud of and get off social media and tell people about it. I'm definitely a little different minded than the typical social creative. I don't doubt that they're aware. I just study more about like the societal end and the greater impact that social media has on people, especially me. You have to really do a lot of the legwork in. Sometimes you overthink about the negatives, and I think that's something that we can all relate to in our own professions or industry sometime. Where I did see it colliding personally for me and made it a lot more difficult was the more magnification and attention I got because of my own personal career and journey that really was a struggle. And I emphasize that so much just to keep it real and give people like a broader perspective and hopefully motivate them that every part of it is a process and a journey. And I've tried to film and record it, and it works for me and against me. And where this collided, especially in the topic of the area of my life, is especially like when you create a personal brand to try to help your own business online. It comes with a lot of responsibility in deciding how to react, not respond, or absorb. I was someone that really didn't have any kind of idea about what kind of world I was getting into when I went online. And I would like look forward to reactions, I guess, or outcomes, or I would set certain standards of myself based on comparisons a lot through absorbing other people. And it was all very internal. It's always going to be really internal for me or for anyone else listening in your own social content journey. Where it really, really started to collide and give me a different, almost pessimistic view, or at least an awareness about some of the negatives of the industry. Is just the freedom of speech, where that's going in society, and just the ickiness of being someone who's genuinely trying to build a real brand for themselves and help other people learn how they can also do the same. It's rocky just absorbing that. A lot of people can go onto social media anonymously or not and just kind of mislead a lot of people. I wouldn't say I've been guilty of being misled, but I've definitely been scammed before. I definitely trusted the wrong people, or I jumped to the assumption of their expertise or professionalism. And it's kind of sticky getting into social media because I really wanted to, we all want to be as good as we can at our field and stuff. But I really had to guide that a few different times in a few different directions. It was just the attachment to being good at something in social media, I think, it's really trippy. It's really trippy. Like, on one hand, I know a list of things that would convert a call, for example, or, really impulse decisions a little more in my favor. And it's sticky because you also want to be yourself, but you know that there's a limited amount of caring or listening people will do about yourself over and over. So you have to give consistent value points. Giving advice as a content creator, especially even as a small business owner, I think is just very difficult. It's difficult on the creator. I know I've tried that before. And where I really found peace at it was kind of owning your words. And that's really where it collided again. Was I feel like a lot of people don't own their words, or they're afraid to, maybe. And I can understand that or relate to it. And I don't, encourage people that aren't comfortable doing that to do it. It was a leap for me to do, on all levels, and it still is. But I find peace at it because I know that the effort I'm putting into something, and I use a lot of meta descriptions in physical terms to relate to my audience on the other side of the screen or the microphone or wherever they're absorbing the content, that ultimately I am attempting my very best to grow an online community of like-minded people that can not only find value in what I'm doing to potentially support it themselves, but to be able to at least take something away that could potentially change the way that you are either promoting your business online, and creating content for a personal brand or another, something that you want attention for, to create an asset of it. I am someone that started from absolutely nothing, so I've gotten very comfortable doing social media, and I know a lot about the content. I don't always have the correct energy, time, or efficient method to create the most valuable product or piece of information that I can in a way that sustains me financially in a steady way. So I am still balancing that and figuring that out, and that's kind of why I jumped on to the YouTube podcast world combo. And I just looked at the statistics, and podcasting is a world where most of the shows don't go past episode 14. Passionate about it. I want to keep it moving. I want to see this get either translated skill-wise or comfort-wise into another podcast show that I am planning to have in the future with guests in a different format, with a very different style. But I do want to get into it. If it was a cliffhanger for me personally at one point or another, where it did start to collide, and it did take over the topic of my life within this episode. In reality, it's a burden. It's something that requires so much of my time, to the point where I won't even get like simple things done in my own personal life all the time. And it's usually work related, and I'm in a great mental position, healthy and blessed to do what I do. But I am not in a position where I can lean and rely on someone else. So I'm moving the whole ship. I'm, filming, editing, serving clients, balancing everything else around it. So it does collide with the future of where I guess as a creator, we all kind of want that freedom, and that's why we leave the 9 to 5. And, hopefully listeners can take overall, just from listening to like my life story and my business journey for themselves, is it's effortless if you make it effortless. If you make it really difficult, it's going to be really difficult, but it's absolutely positively never going to be. And that's more so for your social content and the way that you could potentially do business for a while until you get it down. Everything takes time. And it got icky for me where it collided, where I wanted that freedom, and I got into this digital world, and I finally got comfortable, and I finally broke all those personal belief barriers, or goals for something more for myself, break generational wealth for my family, or like I've shared before, I didn't have a mother or a father. So a giant part of my business and the model of like how I wanted it was something that I could both trust my potential employees, business partners, friends, and family around. I don't want a brand that's making people not feel good or helping them. And I struggled with what avenue and way to communicate that, or how to present that in a way that could support myself for so long. So I just did a lot of video and written content over years, and the whole climb up and battle for attention and figuring out the metrics and the analytics and how to do it, and hearing feedback and criticism, it's so draining, and it's a field where I don't think you can truly master. I think it's a craft that requires both navigation and communication. Ultimately, in a business way, or in a business sense, or especially to monetize something long term, you want a lot more happy people than upset people, and that's very possible. That's more than likely. The collision for me is really none of it comes from online, unfortunately. I haven't seen it directly, or at least gotten to experience it enough, because I haven't been in a consistent rhythm. And I've gone through it all. I've gone through, stopping everything and kind of repositioning myself to give my audience and viewers more of my energy. And I don't doubt that I did, but I don't know if it was interpreted and received wrong. And you have to do so many hours and make it consistent enough that you can kind of change it up. And again, that I use the word collision a lot in this episode, but it really did collide and impact the way that I saw the future of how I would be able to do it. The more I could see freedom of speech being impacted, and just the frenzy world of what media is outside of social. And I don't think that social, or the word social, will be referred to in front of social media for too many more years. It's almost not social. And to be a social creative, you really have to train yourself to learn your target audience and how to communicate with them in a way that works both for you and them, by offering them solutions or information or stories that can resonate. I'm a giant fan of storytelling with content creation. It could just be my personality type or the way that I think. I'm a very creative thinker, but it's fluid. And I know that a lot of the times when people burn out, or they're not really in the fields of their content creation end, it's a sign, as someone attempting to help them, that there's a few things it could be, and it could be more than a few things too. But some things that I pick up on are they doing it for the right reasons? Do they have a crazy expectation? Or is it potentially possible that they're just working too much in the wrong area? A lot of it is confidence and awareness that it's a very trippy thing that can collide with personal belief systems. It's total awareness and faith and self-belief that the way that you demonstrate what value or what skill set you have to offer in the long term will be received the way that you intend it to. And it's difficult. You really can't go into any kind of business online or offline, and hopefully you can train yourself even to go into real life situations like it, but you can't really go up with your hands up. You can't really, which is very tough to do online. Really tough to do online, because it's almost always something bad. It's people are going to swing more than they're going to reciprocate. It's the nature of the beast. And if you want to get into the belly of the beast, you really have to go in it with the attitude of bring it on. And the best way that I can explain that is just be very intentional and go in it wholeheartedly, but
you have to do it for yourself. And if you do it for yourself, be very selfish and be very greedy, because it's not going to be easy. And you're going to have a lot more trouble learning how to do it properly, I believe, or in the way that makes you comfortable, that sticks out. And go through it. Just go through it and understand that everybody did it before you, and everyone's doing it in a different way that might not be so visible. The visibility factor is incredibly tough. The attention that I used to really want or believe I need, and I know it's a necessity for myself and other small businesses, or online creative career journeys and things of that nature.
We really look forward to it. I think, or at least the content creative end, I do. Just the internet and online as a whole. And I'm personally learning to really separate the topic of this episode, my actual life, away from work more. And it's a collision if you are trying to connect it in a professional manner in such a visible magnification.
But I do strange meta things, and I describe it to my audience detail for detail, because at the end of the segment or the episode, I'm trying to build trust and build a genuine audience that I can help people with, or a community of people that find value in it. The road is not easy, and it's all what you make of it. And it's the reason that I always tell my audience and following that want to grow or build a brand on social media, to be selfish or greedy is to, then you'd be able to actually turn around and help people. That's the
But my attitude toward online is I really treat it like its own. When I come in, I'm at work, even if I do something goofy or funny. It's all intentional, but it's all work related, and it's definitely occupied a lot of my life for sure. I spend most of my time either doing something work related or prepping to do something work related. Especially the more I get into content creation, it's a very time consuming thing. And it's a real psychological thing. It's a real personal belief system. It's very similar to if you wanted to go into animal rescue and you're going to deal with people that don't like rescuing animals. Like, you're always going to have opposition and adversity. And the more and more visible, or the more you express yourself, the more you could potentially do a few things, right? Like, you could end your career, you can grow your career, you could potentially build a life for you and your family that you couldn't imagine if you didn't try it, or you could potentially do something that might put them in harm. The collision for me really was all societal and overthinking, and just seeing much more visible professional people that do it what I would consider like right on the nose, but still use their own voice and express themselves. I mean, trouble arises. People aren't always recipient of that, and they also are in nature more defensive if it's something that rubs people the wrong way.
No one's going to support you for actually being selfish and greedy. And it's difficult navigating that in a way that communicates through the internet to a select few people, but you just kind of train that you're throwing the ball, and hopefully they catch it, or sometimes they'll throw it back. And you can have conversations, you can meet people. I've gotten to meet some amazing people online. But my attitude toward online is I really treat it like its own. When I come in, I'm at work, even if I do something goofy or funny. It's all intentional.
Of course, it's no personal offense to anyone, but my audience of content creators out there, hopefully you'd be able to resonate. It's nice, not, you don't really deal with quote unquote them so much doing video podcasting, I guess. Even if it's more visible and more broadcasted, you kind of get a little more room to turn around and be yourself. It's really fun. It's really relaxing. I don't feel so on edge doing short form content and trying to. A lot of it is just such a battle with the algorithms and the way that the platforms work themselves, and that's always just been my interest of, or obsession, my fascination, is how to make it something that's easier for me in a way that supports myself, but they get value for it without me going crazy or absorbing too much of the criticism. And again, we always have to just be very aware. And what I like to do, and the thing that really motivates me, my biggest flex in life is just waking up and having a genuine, solidified, grounded view or
vision for where I want my own life, and I don't get swayed as much as I did before I was ever in business or before I ever hit online. I think I would have classed myself as a lot less easier to move around, or linguistically, or if there was an issue with something serious, I might not have been, ready and pounced on it. I might have delayed it or not looked forward to it, or been a little overthinking or overthought with how they'd feel if I reacted the way or used my own voice. So it's both empowering, and it definitely takes a responsibility level. And what I like to do is I don't really like to. Oh, I'm a very creative type. It's the way my brain's worked. It's how my mind always thinks. It just I can go into a place in my mind
of great enjoyability if I just start thinking about things that I like and all some of the creative things that I can come up with or execute on it or try something for a brand or an Instagram page, something like that. It keeps me going. In bored times, those are like my inner thoughts, or like, how can I, let me try this creative idea, or how do I implement that, or let's see how that works. I like learning. That's my thing. It's not so fun. It's not so interesting. And I learned a lot through my life with content, as far as, well, first of all, everything in your life is considered, you can use it as content. You just have to be mindful that the things that you put out there are out there, and you want to do it with intention, and there's no rush or comfort level that you should feel you need to be at. It took me a very long time and a lot of years to get internally comfortable, despite the optics and the outside perceptions or whatever it is, emails, calls. It's all very internal, and I grow internally solidified in. It could potentially be a lot of stubbornness or rookiness still that I'll see come out in years from now as my comfort level, the skill set rises with what I've been aiming to get better at and good at. But I do have a genuine desire to get more and more and more deeper into the online internet world. It's truly to build brand, meet more people, and just do something that I can say I'm proud of. And it's a very difficult thing to go into alone, that's for sure. Luckily for my audience, I do offer tons of resources and free information, or videos like this or podcasts like this, that you can always check out or download for yourself. I'll up the value. I'll always try to improve as I go. But I do really enjoy just having my own show like this and getting to flex and just spread my wings and stretch out. It's incredibly cathartic just from the camera pressures and the opinions, and it's not trying to prove anything to anyone really. It's just getting comfortable and getting myself in there and out the door in such a competitive environment, and stay sane and stay healthy and just keep it genuine and authentic to myself. But yeah, my biggest flex and the thing that I'm proud of the most is waking up every day and knowing that I am who I'm saying I am, globally or not, online or not. And a big personal thing for me, like a personalized mission where I really know I can bring value to other entrepreneurs and creatives, is to get them off the internet. And it's a strange thing when you think about trying to grow on the internet and wanting to get off of it at the same time. It's a beast. It's no knowledge and insight on the industry. It's tough. It's very tough, especially on social media or online. A lot of people, even me, will get overcredited, or some days we'll feel undercredited and we'll get something. It's the Wild West, and you really have to go into it with zero expectations and strut your stuff. It's you and your four corners. You're never going to get anything out of it that you didn't execute or put in. And it's real work, it's real time, it's real effort. And I know that, or hopefully my audience for the most part has that same mission or same goal. Maybe they're doing it now for themselves, or maybe they're way ahead of me. But you really can't set yourself up for anything less than success. The economy right now is not fun, and neither is not doing the things that you really want to do. Or a large part of this entire journey for me has been sharing the true exploration of what it's been like, from first person view, from real account, real information, or just reporting on some of the stuff I've been up to, the experiences of it. And again, it's always what you make of it. It's very difficult. It can make you, it can break you, it can destroy you, it can create an ego monster out of you, it can confuse people about who you are if you're not really open to the idea that you are asking for everything that you're getting. Everything online and social should really be manifested and intentional, are those words I like to use when I teach other entrepreneurs. Be greedy, be selfish, use intention, and go in with a plan. Even if it fails, get up and keep going. There's no pleasing other people here. You're never going to get it right. And if you're starting from the bottom, or you're someone that just maybe cracked open a YouTube channel or a podcast and you're just exploring it, and just keep going. Don't look for any reason to not keep moving, especially if you are looking to monetize it or make it a part of your life. It's a real decision. It's like having a child. If you open up a business or try to grow a brand, it's going to take a lot of responsibility, effort, time, and energy from you that you may or may not be aware of yet. So really just learn how to enjoy the process, even if you don't. And people throw around the term with online and social marketing or internet creation and building brands and businesses, as they say, fake it until you make it.
My core values, and hopefully they're reflected in my my brand. But the premise that where I'm coming from, I guess, the cliff that I'm coming from as a speaker or a producer of content, is someone that is trying to continue to build a brand or build a content or gain visibility and awareness. So a lot of the content that will be available soon on places like our website at my business, digitalbusinesstraffic.com, are all for other entrepreneurs and other content creators that are looking to grow and build a brand. So we have a resource page where you can watch video guides and read step 1 to step 2 how to start like an Instagram business, or download sized charts for content on different platforms and different shows and just different elements where I can execute some of my creative ideas through to a company, which I'm really excited about. And I wouldn't expect anyone to really understand the internal excitement about that, even for those that have watched from the beginning. But I am now kind of, through personal branding and content creation, I'm an outside entity. I'm like my own thing, going into digital business traffic, funneling traffic through like valuetainment and content creation and edutainment things. So it's really fun for me, having started from where I am to where I am now with it, because it's something that I genuinely, it gets me excited. I like it. The future show that I have planned, also to give you guys a little more excitement and entertainment value, will have guests and call-in features. So it's very cerebral. What I'm doing is I'm trying to bring a very intimate look with myself through social content for the first time in my life, to translate into shows or opportunities, interactive events and stuff where they have a comfort level or have some familiarized idea and thought. And that's just kind of where you have to put your hands down and say, I know this isn't going to be for everybody. and you know you're going to hear good and bad, and you just get used to it. It's a profession. The thoughts that I had with future content and my life colliding into my business are pretty cool. So I really am fascinated with a lot of the digital world as a whole, and I think that's good for me, my business, and potentially my listeners and viewers to take more things away from yourself now and in the future. But I like exploring. I really, really like exploring. I like starting a whole new page in a whole new world and just getting my hands dirty. And the thing that's really appetized me from the beginning was implementing a potential NFT or an NFT collection or some sort of art derivative to my logo and some of the content that you are probably more familiar with my branding and social activity over the years. So I'm really excited about that. We just set a public announcement that we are inviting more people into our private Facebook NFT community, and it has 82,000 visitors on there, and a lot of them are pretty active, so I keep it clean and I just moderate it. I'm getting used to that. A lot of everything that I share is still stuff that I am currently getting used to, which is really fun for me to just explore my own vulnerabilities, and I'll look back at it and dang, I could have did that better and stuff like that. Another fun thing that I have coming is something that I have not released a name for, but I will share the idea concept. The patent project that I created, Boston's Digital Arena, is not operational. It's not functional. It almost doesn't exist. It's like a plethora of both paper idea, computer idea. It's like it might be a lost project. It might be. It could be finished someday, but I had crazy expectations for it that didn't happen. It cost me a lot of money to play around with the idea because it also detracted my attention from my startup where my attention should have been. So deriving from that idea with my logo, I announced this in my YouTube series, which I'll also talk about after this to catch my listeners and viewers on my podcast show up with, so you guys can check out more stuff and more activity. But I was thinking of an idea where I can blend a concept to find other creatives and entrepreneurs online that would like to create some facilitated and organized animated logo content battle system where we could entertain viewers and followers in our audiences with really cool content on possibly like its own page or channel or what have you. So that's just an idea that I shared a long time ago, and I've been figuring out ways how to make it work. And it's really going to be almost like it would have to be some sort of like mutual partnership or partnerized system where we're organizing. I'll talk about it later in the future when it gets a little more organized, but it's very choppy. So I just thought I'd air that out at least to give some excitement or awareness to it. But we got some really cool ideas where we can incorporate things that we're doing for ourselves with things that other people might be interested or want to learn. The NFT community Facebook page is called the Digital Business Traffic NFT Community. That's what you can look up on Facebook. It's private, so I'd accept it and all that. Or you can message me or contact me, and I'll warp you over there. It's really just a way for me to start building a notable face in that industry, and that's really cool for me and scary at the same time. Also, it's the blockchain. So that, for those familiar with the online world, or maybe you're not, the NFT trustability with everything that happened and the way that it opened and exploded in my last YouTube video where I mentioned the birth and rise of NFTs has definitely changed drastically with like Web3 and crypto, and it's really interesting, and it's amazing just getting to experience it and share it. And I think it's just a natural thing that I really like to do, is try to create stuff that can be of value or motivate others in a way that I'm not only learning and sharing that, but just, again, staying true, staying sane, finding joy in the surroundings. You can't really overthink what you're doing at all in business and online. It's just incredibly difficult not to fall into the trap. So I'm getting better at it, and all we have is time. All we can do is really improve for ourselves, but everybody out there deserves their own success, and I, again, don't encourage people to speak online or on social with things that they're not comfortable with, but if it is something that you want to explore, let it rip. And I think it's a quality that you can adapt to or desire to get better at or do more over time, because I have never had some of the same desires or things that I really wanted out of the content or social media internet industry that I do now. And I really just want to have fun. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And I think it helps with my business over the long run too, because I don't have to stress about crafting the perfect offer or making it salesy or evoking emotions for conversions. And I just get to relax and let people learn a little bit more about me and take stuff for themselves. It's quite interesting. Some of my other thoughts that I wanted to share in this episode just about life and the collision of content and now being a podcast host is the attention factor and just navigating that in a healthy way. And I do it very metaphorically in meta, and I use descriptions, and I'll explain myself on that part. But I really separate it through like a building. I think that when I'm in work, I'm online, and when I leave, I'm offline. But it's very difficult. There's anonymity and just competitive nature of business, editing, and the pressures that we put on ourselves, or some of the self-conscious things that may or may not come up. And a lot of business, especially with exposure, is it's exposure. So if you want it, you'll get it. But you're going to really have to be solidified and confident in yourself, not so much the optics of everything or the opinions at the end of that trail, but certainty that you will feel confident or good about the decisions that you made with the time you had. A lot of it is time management. And if you really observe deeper into something like even the podcast world, sports announcers or big podcast hosts of main televised or radio stations, they'll sometimes do 2 or 3 podcasts at the same time, or back to back, or they're recording 2 and then immediately after they're going to split a quarter. You really have to produce at a certain volume to find a sustainable result for income. But as long as I think you focus on providing value and doing the best you can, you'll find what you're looking for. But just make sure that you're looking for something, or you'll scroll around or look into the abyss forever. And I don't want my following or my clients or me to start doing that. And it's a difficult thing being on the platforms themselves and kind of trying to resonate with people that don't want to use them as much and get them off in order to create it on. And that was definitely an internal morality that I visited mentally and thought about. I don't want people to actually follow me on social media, because then they'll use social media more. So how do I find people that I want to help? That the desire to help, I think, will always show if you have a true desire to get better at the craft and help other people with what you're doing. You'll find results. And I think it's an amazing thing if you are someone that's just blessed enough to have made the decision to start, or at least try. The leap is all that there really is. Everything else from there is optical, mechanical, fixable, repairable. But from that mental position, you're primed, ready, and you're gonna do what you need to do. Even if you fail along the way, the experience and the knowledge that comes with a lot of what I do can always be carried over, or translated, or upgraded, or repackaged later. It's a skill set. It's a life. It's definitely not a hobby. I call it post-life. I represent the post-life graduates for those self-made entrepreneurs out there that really just had a thought or an idea and wanted to see it through, or are still trying to see it through. make it happen, create it, own it, and expect obstacles that aren't there yet. Try to see around corners that aren't, and give yourself permission to change your mind. A lot of what I did in the content creation world, I considered mistake oriented, and it had nothing to do with an error. It all was relative to how I chose to spend my time, or overthought things, or possibly absorbed criticism too personally. And that's just where I like to explore of how I can navigate it in a healthy way and keep it separate at the same time. But it's fun visiting these creative ideas of mine where I get to come online or do a podcast show and try to make it work and just help people find places in their own life where maybe they could use another avenue for income or attention. It's only as good as you'll ever make it, and hopefully you decide to do something amazing with it. And essentially, if it's a life that you really want to live, spread those wings and fly. Spread those wings and fly. But I am also exploring other ways where my audience could potentially interact more in enjoyable content through entertainment. So a lot of my future editing in videos, and I'll touch base on that with you guys. So when I started on YouTube, I opened up with the 6-video series of the first half of what I call Series 1, The Beginning. And it's essentially me just exploring time jumps through digital editing and video clips of the story of how I started my brand from the beginning, and a little bit about my personal background and the area where I'm from and how that had an impact on it. In the next 6 videos are videos that I'm essentially creating and producing now to upload to complete that series, and it'll be very similar but more entertainment and interactive. I'm very excited about it. The next video, I'm calling it The World of the Internet. The World of the Infinite. And I kind of parody, explore through entertainment value in video creation, a walkthrough of the different areas of the internet and how I can create that in something that will probably make people laugh. And I'm trying to put a lot of production value into it on budget to give people an actual genuine pull to the channel of like, wow, this is going to be cool. It's really fun. I try to keep it lighthearted and everything, and it's really easy to look the other way, especially if you are someone who really wants success. I advise you to just not focus on it, and it'll all happen and manifest through the energy and belief that you have. The digital aspect of it is to essentially create an asset of it so that you can look back into it and go, I'm really glad I got to do that. And podcasting's fun for me, especially just because I get to be so loose, and I think that's just my nature. It was always the style of content that I chose. I felt funny doing scripts and propping. It's just very natural for me to be able to do this, and I really enjoy it, and I appreciate all the time and effort that my listeners, viewers, and following do give to me. Every share, anything with getting my business out there, and I really appreciate it. So I'm also adding a Discord channel, and I'll announce it on my socials and put that on the business website and everything. So if you guys are interested in some of the events and activities that I'm talking about online, or the resources where it can help your brands or businesses yourselves, I do have a personal website at DellaPennaJr.com, and I'm getting a little lazier than I want to with updating it. Most of the energy and time that I do is facilitated on digitalbusinesstraffic.com. But you're more than welcome to check that out. You can subscribe to our blog or email list and get more information for yourself. Or just follow me on social. I'm pretty consistent with updating and getting people more into it and active. And to wrap up the topic episode of my life, I would like to say that the biggest impact I think it's had on me, or the collision of business content and podcasting onto my life is reaffirmation. That it's such a strange thing, I guess, that I can look back through like my old images, videos, and be able to look today, and I find a really humbling grace of clear blessing that if you believe, you really can achieve. And I don't like to make it sound pessimistic or negative, and I like to motivate people, but I do like to keep it real so that people feel a little more equipped, or that they're not alone with that battle. And that's just life. That life's going to throw you a curveball. The status of my life, it could be a little healthier and it could be a little happier. And I think that's something that I naturally observed through social content. And I found like a sense of confidence or miniaturized bravery. I think like a lot of what we do on social could be mistaken for brave. But it's just kind of more internal decision making. But I actually did find it a little brave that I was like, wow, I'm getting a little unhealthy with my pursuit in online marketing and content creation. So maybe I can find like a different solution that makes me a little happier and a little healthier. And I didn't feel such a resistance to changing my mind. I didn't really feel like a pressure to divert what I was doing with any kind of fear that it could be taken the wrong way. It was just like a real empowering move for me personally, was jumping into video podcasting. And I found myself a little unhealthy with it, just overusing and the drainage and absorbing and overthinking too much. So I didn't have to really step back. I just kind of pivoted, and I'm pretty certain that the roads and the decisions I'm making will ultimately make me happier, which will execute better into content in my business and my life and relationships and listeners of the podcast, and just to make it more enjoyable and give more of that positive energy and radiate the kind of attitude and ideas that really reflect my core values, so that I can actually meet people that really relate, even if it's through the internet and online. I do believe that there's more good people out there than bad, and I don't think that it's a positive outlook to think that the things that you say, or maybe some of the stuff that you're afraid to post or create content about or publish a book about, how's it going to be received and all that stuff. I think it kind of melts away the more you get into that kind of world. And I know there's a lot of people, especially like me, that started that suffered some sort of like internal resistance with how do you do this and how do you do that, that just sometimes you need that push, or you need to hear that quick little motivational thing that gets you back onto the horse. And that's hope. That's really what people like. That's what people need. That's what keeps us all going. And I think you really have to use your voice if you feel that it can bring other people value. And that's kind of what keeps society in check, that keeps me sane, is when I hear other people in my industry or field do motivational or express themselves in such a vulnerable, raw nature in a globalized way. It keeps it all in motion. It keeps it in check. It keeps me remembering that there's more to this, or that there's an easier way to do this, or I'm not alone with that problem, and okay, there is a solution. I'm okay to make it easier for myself. And just hearing it and seeing other people doing it is undeniably has been both motivational to me and inspirational for sure. And I emulate the successes of other people that truly make me want to be better as a person, both professionally and offline and off camera. So the blending of the two is a collision of worlds, in which I called World of the Infinite in YouTube, where I can explore it in a way that people can take value for themselves. But in my podcast video and in my other content, I wanted to emphasize that. I wanted to explore those shadow areas of self-doubt and the way that the literal worlds change between podcasting and video and written content. And someone out there right now might be making their very first post today. So hopefully they get to that next level, get to that next stage of process or awareness for both their business, their content, their life, and their relationships. Speaking of relationships, if you couldn't tell, the entire episode entitled Life got swung right into business and content. And that has been a predominant relationship that I think I've been building for quite some time. It's getting pretty serious, but it does occupy a giant part of my life. And to get back into some stuff that happened in my life recently, before I wrap up this episode, my cat died. Storm, R.I.P. Storm, my red house cat. And my car recently got totaled in 2 accidents that were of no fault to my own. And my insurance decided to consider it a total loss, so I will also miss my first car. Two things that have sadly impacted me this year. But we continue. Aside from that, I've just been really focused and balancing life, work, social, and some sort of rhythm that makes sense to me, and hopefully it brings value to you. As usual, I thank you for having checked in to the Mark DellaPenna Show and given me your time and your energy, your support, and hopefully I am able to get you back for more. In the next episode, episode 3, which, by the way, I am filming these episodes and uploading them back to back, 14 episodes in 14 days straight. And a lot of that had to do with the statistics of podcast shows not making it, as I have shared. So it was just a way where I get to focus and exert my energy and just get it all out. And the next episode will be entitled Business, and I'll explore more about my startup creative media agency and more about what it can actually do for you and some of the plans that I have for it and areas and avenues that you guys can listen or get involved potentially right after the next episode. A lot of it is personal for me because I've booked it up for that show, and I'm kind of getting really excited about doing these podcasts more and more because I'm able to really explore my own brand, my own business, and my own life in a way that is essentially valuable to a specific audience, and just being able to, from where I started as a creator, to be able to just insert a lot of the information and options all in one digestible chunk or video or run like this, it's amazing. It's a technology, it's a privilege that as much effort and moaning as we do in the back for it, that's what we're here for. It's amazing just to be able to relax and do this, and I hope it encourages other people to do the same. And I definitely recommend video podcasting for certain. New, vet, doesn't matter. It's so healthy. You really get to just explore and entertain at the same time and feel productive enough that you have content to show for it, which I know sometimes in the business world we stress out about it, how to do it, how we need more of it. It's a livelihood, it's a journey, and I will see you all in the next episode. Keep creating, stay being awesome, make history, break records.